Every human being enters this world with a gift, a seed, a hidden treasure placed inside by the Creator long before your parents ever knew you would exist. You are not a mistake, not an accident, not a random moment in the timeline of humanity. You are an intentional design with an intentional purpose, crafted with precision and placed on this earth with a specific assignment. But one of the greatest tragedies in the world is not death. One of the greatest tragedies is living your entire life, never discovering who you truly are. Too many people spend their days performing, pretending, copying, imitating, adjusting themselves to match expectations that were never written for them in the first place. They bury their identity under the weight of fear, comparison, and the opinions of others. They wear masks that grow heavy over time, masks that suffocate the greatness inside them. And the saddest part is that many never remove them, not even once. The courage to become who you were meant to be begins with a decision, an inner awakening that says, I cannot continue living a life that does not belong to me. Until you reach that point, you remain trapped in the prison of expectations. Some of us were raised in homes where our dreams were never taken seriously. Some of us grew up in environments that tried to shrink us, silence us, or make us believe that our voice was unnecessary. But no matter how loud the voices of doubt may have been, the voice of destiny has always been louder. It whispers in the quiet moments. It awakens you in the middle of the night. It stirs you when you feel unfulfilled, even though your life looks complete on the outside. That whisper is not random. It is the reminder of who you truly are. You cannot become your true self until you confront your false self. The false self is built by fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of disappointing others, fear of stepping away from what feels safe. But fear is not a sign that you should stop. Fear is the evidence that you are standing on the edge of something significant, something unfamiliar, something powerful. Every great person you admire had to walk through fear. They were not fearless. They were courageous. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to move despite the fear. You will never become who you were meant to be if fear continues to dictate your choices. The first step toward your authentic identity is understanding that purpose is not discovered outside of you. It is discovered within you. Purpose is already in your design. You do not invent it, you uncover it. Just as the seed of an oak tree already contains the full potential of a mighty forest, everything you were destined to become is already inside you. You may not feel like it. You may not see it. But potential does not disappear simply because it is buried. The greatness within you is waiting for permission to emerge. The question is, will you allow it? Becoming your true self requires separation. Not from people, but from anything that conflicts with who you were created to be. It requires silence. It requires reflection. It requires listening to the inner vision that has been trying to guide you for years. Some of you already know who you are. You can feel it deep in your bones. You dream it when you lie down at night. You imagine it when you see someone else walking in their purpose. But something keeps holding you back. Maybe it's the fear of stepping into the unknown. Maybe it's the fear of leaving behind the familiar. Maybe it's the fear that you are not enough. But hear this, the Creator never gives you an assignment without equipping you with the ability to fulfill it. The problem is never your capacity. The problem is your belief. The moment you believe in the identity you were given, not the identity you were taught, not the identity you were pressured into, but the identity you were created for, your life begins to transform. You do not need validation from others to begin. You do not need permission. Purpose is not approved by men, it is assigned by God. And when God assigns something, it cannot be revoked by human opinion. The courage to become who you were meant to be will always offend someone who benefited from who you were pretending to be. But you cannot sacrifice your destiny to maintain someone else's comfort. Life is too short to live unfulfilled, too short to stay silent, too short to hide your gifts, too short to act small when you were created to be significant. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to the world, to become the person you were designed to be. Every day that you delay becoming your true self, the world suffers the loss of what you could have given. Your words, your ideas, your talents, your leadership, your uniqueness, these are not for you alone. They are contributions meant for humanity. When you rise, you lift others. When you discover yourself, you unlock others. When you step into your identity, you create permission for others to do the same. And so the journey begins with a simple but powerful question: who am I really? Not who did the world tell me to be. Not who did my family expect me to be. Not who did my fear convince me to be. But who was I before insecurity learned my name? Who was I before I started comparing myself to others? Who was I before life tried to shrink me? That version of you is the real you, the original you, the you that came fully loaded with purpose, potential, and clarity. That is the person you must rediscover. That is the identity you must reclaim. You cannot let your past define you. You cannot let your mistakes define you. You cannot let your failures define you. They were experiences, not identities. Many people allow moments of failure to become permanent labels, forgetting that failure is simply the process of refinement. Failure is not final. It is the classroom of greatness. Every great story is filled with moments where giving up seemed easier than continuing. But the people who become all they were meant to be are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who refuse to stay down. The courage to become who you were meant to be is a lifelong decision. You make it every morning when you wake up. You make it every time you confront doubt. You make it every time you silence the voices that tell you to play small. You make it every time you choose growth over comfort. You make it when you decide that the pain of staying the same is greater than the fear of change. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out. You were not born to simply survive. You were born to impact, influence, transform, and lead. Your birth was the introduction of a solution to a problem only you can solve. If you do not become yourself, the world loses that solution. That is why discovering your identity is not selfish, it is necessary. Because when you become who you were destined to be, you become a gift to the world. This is the call to rise. This is the call to awaken. This is the call to rediscover the person buried under years of fear, doubt, and limitation. The world is waiting not for a copy, not for an imitation, not for a version of someone else, but for you the moment you decide to become your true self. Everything around you begins to shift. Some relationships will change. Some doors will close. Some environments will no longer feel comfortable. And that is exactly what is supposed to happen. Growth demands transition. Destiny demands separation. You cannot take every person with you into your next season, because not everyone is assigned to your future. Some people were only meant to be part of your past. Some were meant to be lessons. And some were meant to be temporary companions. Holding on to the wrong people will delay your arrival to the right places. Do not fear losing people. Fear losing yourself while trying to keep people who were never meant to stay. You must decide that your destiny is more important than your comfort zone. The higher you rise, the more clarity you gain. The more clarity you gain, the more courage you develop. And the more courage you develop, the more unstoppable you become. Becoming who we're created to be requires transformation. Not external first, but internal. True change starts in the mind. You cannot walk into a new life with an old mindset. You cannot embrace your potential while thinking like a victim. You cannot step into your power while holding on to beliefs that were formed in moments of fear, trauma, or misunderstanding. Your mind must be renewed. You must learn to see yourself as the Creator sees you. Valuable, capable, prepared, and purposed. The greatest battles you will ever face are not external, they are internal. The battle between who you are and who you fear you are not. The battle between your potential and your excuses. The battle between your destiny and your distractions. Every time you win the battle within, the world around you begins to align. The moment you start believing in your significance, you stop allowing people to treat you as insignificant. You must develop discipline. Purpose without discipline leads to frustration. Potential without discipline leads to waste. Dreams without discipline lead to regret. You cannot become your true self by accident. It requires intentionality, consistency, focus, and sacrifice. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you were born to be. It is the difference between wishing and becoming. It is the difference between dreaming and achieving. It is the difference between a life of regret and a life of legacy. Many people pray for greatness, but they are not willing to embrace the process that produces greatness. The process requires patience. The process requires endurance. The process requires facing days of silence, seasons of uncertainty, and moments where nothing seems to be working. But those moments are shaping you. They are preparing you. They are building the character required for the assignment ahead. The Creator will not elevate you before He strengthens you. He will not promote you before He prepares you. He will not expose your gift before He establishes your foundation. Some of you are in a season of hiddenness. You feel unseen, unnoticed, overlooked. But hiddenness is not punishment. Hiddenness is preparation. Seeds are hidden before they grow. Diamonds are hidden before they shine. Roots grow in secret before trees grow in public. Do not despise the season where you feel invisible. That is where your strength is being built. That is where your identity is being refined. That is where you are being shaped for the spotlight you are destined to step into. You must also protect your vision. Not everyone deserves access to your dreams. Not everyone can handle the magnitude of what you are becoming. Share your vision only with those who can support it, not sabotage it. There are dream protectors and there are dream killers. Learn the difference. Surround yourself with people who believe in your growth, who challenge you to rise, who remind you of your identity when you forget it. The right community fuels your purpose. The wrong community drains it. As you continue becoming your true self, you will notice something powerful. You begin to attract opportunities aligned with your identity. Doors open that once seemed impossible. People come into your life who resonate with your mission. Resources appear that match your purpose. Why? Because when you align with your identity, the universe aligns with you. Your steps begin to flow. Your actions begin to make sense. Your life gains momentum. Destiny begins to pull you forward instead of you pushing yourself through resistance. But even as you rise, remember humility. True greatness is not loud. True greatness is not proud. True greatness is not self-centered. Greatness is service. You become who you were meant to be, not just for yourself, but for others. Your identity unlocks your influence. Your influence unlocks transformation. You were created to make an impact in the lives of others, whether through your words, your gifts, your work, your leadership, or your example. Never underestimate the power of your presence. Someone's breakthrough may be waiting on your obedience to become yourself. As you step into your true identity, challenges will still come. Even when you walk in purpose, life does not become perfect. But purpose gives you the strength to endure what others run from. Purpose gives pain meaning. Purpose gives trials direction. Purpose turns obstacles into stepping stones. Purpose transforms pressure into growth. When you know who you are, nothing can break you, because your identity becomes your anchor. One day you will look back and realize that the version of yourself you were afraid to let go was the very thing holding you back from the life you were praying for. You will realize that every fear you fought, every doubt you silenced, every step you took despite trembling hands was worth it. Because on the other side of fear is freedom. On the other side of doubt is clarity. On the other side of resistance is destiny. The courage to become who you were meant to be is the greatest decision you will ever make. It is the decision that unlocks every other breakthrough. It is the decision that transforms your life from survival to significance. It is the decision that turns existence into purpose. And once you make it fully, once you commit to authentic identity, your life will never be the same. You were not created to live small. You were not created to repeat the same days over and over. You were not created to hide. You were created to rise, to lead, to transform, to inspire. And the world is waiting for the real you to emerge. Become that person. Step into your identity. Walk boldly in your purpose. Because the greatest gift you will ever give the world is the courage to become who you were always meant to be.